And this short factual story is linked to a period in the mid-1990s when I lived in New York, USA, aptly titled Ideal Environment. Some of the graves in the graveyard contain the remains of famous historical figures. Inside the church, he sat in a pew, quietly saying prayers. God, I thank you for my life, the tests and the trials, the triumphs and the failures. Please continue to caress my inconsistent life with your all-embracing love and perfect protection. He remained seated, stared ahead at the large stained glass windows, the altar, then glanced sideways on both sides and noted the presence of a few worshippers. None of the others worshipping sat close to each other. The sheer size of Trinity Church on East Broadway in New York made that evident. He assumed they wanted a one-on-one with God. For one fleeting moment he desired listening to Bach, B-A-C-H, that is. Soon after he conceded to himself that the silent aura would suffice. Next he removed his pen and some writing paper from inside both pockets of his trench coat and began to write. Following on is the next story, also based in New York, more or less in the same vicinity, and the title is Scotland on East Broadway. Medal Day. Timothy questioned the cop, or the policeman. The police officer's reply was too terse, T-E-R-S-E. Timothy encircled City Hall to have a better view of the podium and dignitaries. He listened as well to the sound of bagpipes. This event takes place annually at this time of year. The informant is a fireman. His manner, unlike that of the cop earlier, appeased Timothy. Later, Timothy learned more. The bagpipes linked to this ceremony had no historical roots. Timothy's day had started there at City Hall, and his earlier frustration with a mission rule diminished as he listened to Amazing Grace. And following that is also in New York, Mid-Manhattan, 42nd Street. 2 Sunday mornings in a row, on both occasions, it rained. Timothy made the usual brief stops en route. The 53-block walk didn't subdue him until he was comfortably seated inside Port Authority. Timothy could remember vividly how slow a process it was. His eagerness to succeed in New York evaporated in 2 days. Timothy dug deeper than he had ever done for patience, willpower, and restored belief. He speculated risk could equal reward, and thwart and hovering threat of displacement. Timothy sat and surveyed the surroundings. Changes had been made. Security was tighter. wayfarers and temporarily stuck out of towners weren't being permitted to remain static for long. A fantasy picture suddenly blocked out everything while Timothy's eyes remained wide open. He could envisage departure, a destination, Virginia. Timothy could see his eyes filled with tears and an unequal desire to remain in the Big Apple. He could see beyond, a yearning to sit in the same spot, revisiting a temporary displacement phase momentarily. And to conclude this session, once again, refer to some of the recorded music that's available on the site for me to use. And this is Psalm 121. Most of the compositions I recorded had to do with my biblical leanings, and I'm just happy to report that personally I feel that the overall effort was quite successful.